You said, so you're at this showcase, you're 16 or whatever, and you're playing against guys like Bryce Harper and whatnot. So often at this young age, everybody wants to compare kids at 10, at 12, at 14, at
Mm-hmm.
16. And as we all know, right, from going through it, certain kids grow and mature at different levels. Certain kids are late bloomers, early bloomers. The kid who dominates 12U ball sometimes doesn't make the varsity team, right? So how did you, as you started navigating and started entering these showcase type, you were obviously good enough to be in these showcases at 14, 15, 16 through high school. How did you handle looking around at your peers and yeah, that was your baseline and you were trying to keep up with guys, but also not letting that overwhelm you. And if you weren't the best kid at 14, that didn't mean that you couldn't still be a first round draft pick a few rounds later. Like, did you understand that in the time or do you look back on it with a little different perspective now?
I understood it a little bit, but I have a whole new perspective on it now. I guess you could say, like, back then it kind of showed you, like, all right, like, you need to, if you really want to do this, there's a lot of work. You got to work hard. There's a lot of room to go here if you want to be on these same levels. But like you said, when you're 12 years old, you have nothing to compare it to, or 13 or 14 years old. So when you see these kids who are so much bigger, stronger, faster, just more mature than you are, you think like, oh, this guy's really, really good. And then you kind of catch up and the gap closes, or maybe that guy goes a different route and never really, really makes it, or you stick with it and make improvements and you kind of bloom and become what you become. But, I remember me and my friends were all kind of the same skill level growing up. Like, we were all pretty good. I had a few friends that ended up playing D1 baseball. So I never really knew any better. Like, we were all pretty good. So it's kind of just being like one of the boys. It never really stood out like, oh, you're so much better than your friends or your peers. Like, we were all just like, yeah, we played baseball, went to high school together, same pony ball. Like, we're a good team. Like, we're good. And then I didn't really feel like I was getting better than them or like making big improvements till probably like sophomore year of high school, when I was like, okay, like, I'm pretty good at this. I might have I feel like I might be able to go to college doing this for sure. And then maybe get drafted, and then just kept getting better, just sticking with it, kept working, started to mature a little bit more. And then you start catching up and you start closing the gap or lengthening the gap between like you and your peers. And you just never know when it's going to come. Like, you just got to stick with it, I feel like. And if I could tell kids that, say, don't worry about what's going on around you or your peers, kind of just worry about yourself as getting better, learning the game, making improvements, just trying to better yourself as a person and an athlete. And you never know what can happen. Just give yourself every opportunity to succeed. If you don't succeed, don't let it be because you didn't work hard or you didn't want it bad enough. And then if it works out, that's great. If it doesn't, that's great too. And you learned a lot of great lessons along the way that you can kind of apply later in life. And, for us, we're fortunate enough to where we kind of made it a career and we're able to do it, but it doesn't always go that way for everybody, but you can learn a lot of things along the way.